Yes, people, welcome back to Never a Foul. It's your boy Ty here, analyzing the big game from the weekend and my takeaway from it. Make sure you like, subscribe, because one thing is clear. Arsenal are ready to win the Premier League this season. I'm not saying they're going to, but they are ready, because when you look at it from 3 years ago to now, that performance against Man City last night, the way they defended, how robust they were, they got to the last dying seconds before they crumbled, and people call it bottling it again. Whether they agree or not, that's not for me to decide, but they could have bottled it. But the season's long. There's a long way to go. But mentally, I feel like they've come away from that game now against Man City and said, yo, we're going to get them back at the Emirates. We are now ready to win this Premier League. We were 30 seconds away from ending our voodoo at the Etihad with 10 men for 45 minutes. How many clear-cut chances did City have in that second half? They didn't. It was a last-minute John Stones scrappy sort of goal, but they fought to the end. So credit to Man City. They fought to the end. But for me, I've come away from that and I'm like, Arsenal are ready. Like, they are ready. And I think the difference is for me, right, is that when you look at like Arteta's time at Arsenal, now it feels like it's really his team. He's got his new contract. He's got the players. He's also got the respect. Because I'm not saying he didn't have the respect before. So he's been at Everton. He's been at Arsenal as a player. And then he's been at Manchester City, of course, and then come through their ranks and coach now Arsenal. But at first, people were, questioning it. His first proper managerial job. He's at Arsenal. Will the pressure get to him? Will he suffer a bit like how Unai Emery and other managers have? Or will he come in, put his stamp on things, have that authority, have that body language, have the belief and the charisma to get the players on side? And he's done that. So he's ticked all the boxes in terms of, the players are on side. He's got the authority. He's got his styles of play, different types of ways of winning games. And transfer seems to be working out at the moment. So right now, I'm like, this Arsenal team are ready. And I think this is the difference between last season and the season before. Because let's have it right, yeah? Let's actually have the footballing conversation. When Arsenal challenged for the league 2 years ago, no one expected them to challenge for the league. There's no one in this show watching right now. They would say in the comments, yeah, I had Arsenal challenging for the league 2 years ago. You didn't. They surprised a lot of people. Then what happens is the expectation then rises immediately. It's like, right, okay, you challenged last year or 2 years ago, sorry. So next year, you should be challenging or going and winning it. But for me, in my hearts of hearts, they shouldn't have been challenging that 2 years ago. And then last year, when people put the pressure on them and said they can go and win it, I still feel like they were short. There was something still missing. I felt like they were ahead of schedule under Arteta and challenging. But naturally, people, football fans, neutral fans, whatever, just put pressure on a team, or even their own fans put expectation. Okay, we can go and now win it. You get excited, you get giddy. It's football. That's what you're going to do at the end of the day. But for me, last season, I still didn't think like they were ready to win the Premier League. Last year for me was like, okay, this is going to be their first year of really challenging. That's how I felt of it. Because 2 years ago, I definitely didn't think they were. I thought, okay, this year is going to be the first year of challenging and they might fall short, but they're going to be up there. They're going to be improving. And that's what we saw. It went down to the final day of the season. It's simple as that, Arsenal were there. They battled with Man City. They missed out. But now they've got Calafiori, they've got Raheem Sterling, a bit more experience. They've got Mikel Merino now to come into the midfield, and they didn't lose no big stars. So now it's like, okay, you had 2 years of challenging. The first year wasn't expected. Last year, people thought you would challenge, but you just felt short, just like Liverpool did under many years at Jurgen Klopp battling with Pep. But now, Arsenal are ready. They've gone to the Etihad 5 games into the season with 10 men, and they've gone ahead in a game with Gabriel scoring and then obviously going on and taking the lead. And then it's like, right, okay, second half, how are you going to deal with it mentally? Because we've known with Arsenal over the years, we've always said they've bottled it or they've crumbled at the biggest moments and stuff like that. Again, yesterday was like, right, are you going to overcome that challenge or are you going to succumb to it again? And then there's going to be people crying on Twitter, people reacted, making their videos and taking the piss out of Arsenal. That's what it was going to be. A lot of neutrals and football fans are waiting, saying, right, the Arsenal meltdown is going to happen. Like Saeed said, the Arsenal meltdown is just round the corner. Well, yesterday, it was half round the corner, but they're peaking now. They're peaking. They're not round the corner with their hands up. They're peaking now. Can we get away? Man are chasing us, but we can hide now. That's what it feels like because that second half for me, showed the character of Arsenal, which maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, City could have come back and won the game. That's the difference for me. Gabriel Saliba, now more mature. They're ready. They fight like warriors. You know, you defend a shot and it goes out for a corner and you're getting a crowd going, you're fist pumping, doing all that stuff. You know, you've got Timber playing at left back, now playing at right back, very solid 1v1. You've got Declan Rice, weren't great on the ball, but he's showing that he can dig deep in there. Thomas Partey, Jorginho. You've got Havertz even working hard in there. You've got Trossard, who's not great maybe as an individual, but as part of a team, he will give everything. And then Martinelli, who held up his bargain yesterday. Yeah, Kyle Walker got him a few times and he was trying to counter, but when Martinelli had the ball, he held it up a few times, played simple passes and tried to give Arsenal a bit of the ball when they had a rest for a couple minutes, if that's 30 seconds. But that second half showed that they've got character. They are ready to fight until the very, very end. And now they've got the Man City game ticked off the book now. They're not going to the Etihad again this season. Man City are going to come back there. But obviously, they've got to play Liverpool. They've got to play the Chelseas. You know, you've got to play the Uniteds or whatever it is. But for me, Arsenal Man City is now the biggest game of the season. And when you look at the way Arsenal defend, Atalanta, for example, clean sheet there. The clean sheets they've had so far this season, going to the Etihad and defending for 45 minutes. And yeah, you conceded in the last minute, but every other team in the Premier League will lose that game. Arsenal didn't. They're so solid defensively that they can feel like they can go to any team in the Premier League other than Man City, home or away, and they can win. That's how I feel about Arsenal now. I'm looking at them. For example, if you play FPL, it might be a game where you're looking at Gabriel Saliba and you're saying, do you know what? They got Chelsea away. I'm going to bench them because you think they're going to concede. I look at Arsenal now and I'm thinking whatever team they go to, they can keep a clean sheet. And if they do that and get a goal, they can win 1-0 now. They can win 2-0. They've got different types of ways of winning. And yesterday nearly showed that because Arsenal like to play expansive football in terms of when they're at the Emirates, dominating the play, using the wingers, you know, Odegaard in the pockets. And they like to, you know, when it's a sunny day at the Emirates, it's long. That's how they like to try and play their football. That's what we've always been brought up with Arsene Wenger and the lovely play football they used to play. But with Arteta, they're now showing they can kind of win that way. But if they need to win gritty, they need to defend or survive tough moments, they can. And that's what makes a real Premier League team when it comes to winning titles. We've seen it with Man City. Look, Man City have won 4 of the last 5 Premier Leagues, right? And the truth is, yes, they play good football. Let's not disregard Pep in terms of he's changed football in the last 10 years, 15 years. Pep is Pep. He's a genius, the best manager in the world. But City, in the last 2 years, people have said they've become boring or they're not fun to watch. They play that same way, but also they've gone to games in Europe and they've shown that they've had to sometimes dig deep. It's not always about the fancy football. They've had to show different types of ways of winning, you know, sometimes coming back from behind because they keep conceding goals. But they're finding ways to win games. It's not always just about, right, we're going to play this one style and that's the only plan we've got. A bit like Ange Postecoglou. Everyone says, look, he just has that plan A and doesn't really have the plan B or C. But Arsenal are now having that mentality of, look, we don't always have to play pretty football. We can defend deep if we need to. They're getting different ways of getting W's. Now, look, I'm making this video and they haven't even won the game. They've drawn with Man City. That's a good result for Arsenal. In hindsight, if we said before the game they'll get a draw against Man City, they'd probably take it. You know, Man City probably wanted a win. But look, both teams will now move on and continue their quest for the Premier League. You look at it already. Man City are top with 13 points, 1-4, drawn 1. You've got Arsenal 1-3, drawn 2. Obviously, the drawn game against Man City puts them 2 points behind, but it's still early on. A loss in that game, and you're talking, okay, maybe 4 or 5 points behind, and you don't want to be chasing Man City this early. But Odegaard still to return. How long is Rodri going to be out? These are the small but fine margins that can potentially determine a month of results and maybe a 5 to 7 point swing in a Premier League race. It's going to be so hot. And look, there might be Liverpool fans watching this or Chelsea fans or Villa fans. And like, no disrespect to you guys, you won't be there come May. You will be battling for top 4 and rightfully so, because I think that's where you should be. But I'm making this video based off the 2 best teams in the country. And look, I don't need to talk of Man City in this video because we all know what Man City are. We all know what they've done over the previous years. But for me, taking away from that game on Sunday, it was about Arsenal, their mentality. Are they really ready to win this Premier League? And I think I come away from this video and I say, in that game on Sunday, and I'm like, yeah, they are. They really are, because they did show that character. Saka got dragged off at halftime as well. I was a bit surprised by that substitution, but Arteta got it right, So it is going to be such an interesting campaign for the Premier League. There's a long way to go. There's going to be injuries that happen. There's going to be players coming back. There's even a January transfer window. There might be a video coming out on, what will Man City do if Rodri's out a long time? Or will he come back? Have they got the players to replace him with Gundogan coming back? We've got to touch on that side for Man City. So, guys, make sure you do like this video. Make sure you do subscribe. But if I'm an Arsenal fan, obviously I'm not, but if I was an Arsenal fan, I'll be coming away from that game saying, you know what? I really believe in this team now. We are ready to challenge and win this Premier League. Last year was your first year really doing it. And this is my eyes. This is just my opinion, by the way. You don't have to agree. But I feel like this is the year now where you are ready. Zero excuses. Just like Anthony Joshua on the weekend. If you get punched up, you get punched up. If Arsenal fall short in the Premier League, you fall short. The game is the game. There can only be one winner. Like, subscribe. Tyrone, never a foul. I am